Hi, it's Lauren and welcome to my craft room. Today I'm excited to share with you a new die that was released today from Whimsy Stamps. It is a slimline die called the Woodland Cottage Die, and it creates this beautiful scene that I've die cut here in black cardstock. Now I turned this card into an interactive card. Ah. And I hope you enjoy this video. If you would like to get the Woodland Cottage die yourself, I will have everything linked down below. I'm laying out all my supplies. I have my Woodland Cottage die along with my Slimline Card Builder die and the Thanks Word with Shadow die set. I have some black cardstock and I also have some mixed media paper. So I'm starting with my mixed media paper. I've trimmed it to be slightly larger than my Slimline Card Builder die, which is 8 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I am starting with ripe persimmon and I am creating a sunset background. So again, starting with that ripe persimmon, I'm laying down about 1 inch of color, and then I'm bringing in fired brick for another inch of color, and I'm blending those in together. When I'm happy with that look, I clean up my workstation a bit, and then I'm going to bring in Dusty Concord to blend in with that red. So I'm going in and bringing that color in again about another inch of color. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to finish it off with chipped sapphire. I thought this would make a really pretty bright sunset to be behind my woodland cottage with that I am going to die cut in black cardstock. So once I have all of that done, I am just going to make sure everything is blended really smoothly, that I'm happy with how the colors have blended together. I'm also just using a coffee filter that I have on my desk. It helps me from getting fingerprints everywhere. I am a very messy crafter and I tend to get color all over the place. So I'm just blending those colors in again, making sure I like how it looks and that it feels like a real sunset and that they've faded into each other well. I'm pretty happy with how it looks, so I'm going to clean up my workstation a bit. And next I am going to spray with my distress sprayer and pick up excess water with my microfiber cloth. I'm spraying some gold metallic watercolor and I'm just going to splatter that on to my background. I really liked the look that it added to these colors. I'm going to pick up any excess moisture using that towel again, and now I'm going to die cut it using that slimline die. So I've also die cut my cottage scene out of black cardstock. It fits perfectly on this card builder die. And I'm going to create a yellow bright light up scene in the windows and door of my cottage. Now I originally cut this yellow piece to layer behind the house and onto my background, but once I place the vellum, it really kind of shines with the orange behind the cottage, and so I'm going through all this effort of trimming this yellow paper and I don't use it. So I left it in there because you can do this if you want to, if you want a bright yellow look behind your cottage instead of doing easy light. Instead of vellum here, you can totally glue on some yellow cardstock. I'm using some Scotch tape behind my door and my little walk up path here because I am just going to place those pieces that were die cut right back in, and I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure that tape has a nice seal. So once my vellum is trimmed to fit perfectly behind the window and the window of my door, I'm adding some wet glue with my precision tip and I'm gluing that vellum on. I wait a couple minutes and take off that clear block. So as you can see here is what I'm figuring out. You know what? I kind of like that orange and red behind. I'm not going to worry about the yellow. So now I need to find placement of where I'm going to put my LED lights. I want it to be kind of in the center of all those windows and the door, and then the kind of the center of the windows where those cross beams are. So I am just moving the die a little bit to where out of the way so I can use my piercing tool. And here's how you can do it with the die cut instead of the die. I'm just lining up my piercing tool where I'm going to poke the hole and move the die or the paper out of the way. So now I'm getting out one of my easy lights here. They come in different types of packs. I have a 5-pack here, and each system has 3 LEDs. So that is why I pierced 3 holes into my background. I'm just placing them inside of the hole and using some Scotch tape to keep those in place. Once I have all 3 down, I'm going to use my scoring tool to make sure that they stay in place with that tape. I flip it over occasionally and make sure that they are working and everything looks good. I'm just layering it behind my die as if it were popped up, and I really like how it looks. So now I am going to use some foam tape, and I'm going to apply foam tape behind this whole scene in various spots. So I'm going to trim it down to fit behind all these different spots on this die cut. I'm going to go ahead and skip because you don't need to see me cut and put all these little tiny pieces on. So once I have enough on, I'm going to test my lights again, and I'm really happy with it. So now let's figure out how I'm going to adhere my push button. So I want the push button to be behind my largest little hill here. So I am maneuvering it around until when I push the hill, it also pushes the push button. I'm just using some tape to hold it in place, and I'm applying tape to the extra wires to keep them from getting tangled or pulled behind my card. So now I'm picking out my card base. I originally thought of blue to go with the sky, but I thought black just looked better. So I cut a piece of black cardstock to 8.5 by 7 and scored it along the 7 at 3.5. So I have a card base measuring 8.5 by 3.5. And now I'm doubling up my foam tape to make sure it's the same thickness as my push button mechanism, and I'm going to apply that all along the back of my background. Now that my push button shouldn't move, I am going to apply some sticky tape, and I'm ready to pull up all of the release paper on all of my foam tape and my sticky tape on the back of my push button, and I am centering it onto my card base. Now that that's in place, I can pull up all of the little release papers from my cottage here, and I'm going to place that right along the bottom of my background. To indicate the location of my push button, I'm gluing on this little heart die cut from the new heart background die in white cardstock, and I also die cut the beautiful thanks from the thanks word and shadow die set, and I'm using my precision tip glue to add glue behind this die cut. I'm going to glue that right above the trees to the right in that open space in my sky. I make sure it's nice and aligned straight before I push it down to dry, and I'm really happy with how this card turned out. I love that it's interactive and that this die is the main theme along the bright, bold background. I hope you enjoyed this video and you check out all of the awesome new Whimsy Stamps products released today. All of my information is down below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and have a great day.